shop and things that used to be there in the
It
town
has
of
been
Augusta.
mentioned a few times, but never in any great detail.
His, what was it, great aunt married
Who?
Holt, what was the Holt from, the
Holt?
blacksmith shop? Yeah, what's his first name?
That was,
It was Layton's father, but I can't think of his
late
name.
father, that's right.
I can think of his name now.
Wilbur, I believe,
He ran the blacksmith shop? Layton's father did?
yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
a blacksmith shop, I remember going
That
with a
man-
little girl with my grandpa.
That man, he never had a tab to write things on, but don't let him forget if you owed him money. He wrote on the back of a shovel handle, or shovel, he'd write down what you owed him.
Yeah.
And, don't come in there late to the shop either, cause he'd have a bucket there and he'd send you up to the tavern there. That was the White House, do you know where the White House?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he'd get a bucket full of beer and bring it down.
They have a great photo of him at the museum. You've probably seen it, Dave, downstairs.
I don't think I have. I'm anxious to get in there and
Yeah.
poke around.
You can tell about the time too, you ended up over there, you went missing. You ended up over there, did you end up over in a bar or something across the street from your house with the baseball team or somebody? Grandma was looking for you.
Did you play baseball in Augusta? No?
I was too young.
Okay.
They had a baseball team almost every town.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, since she brought that up, Matson had a baseball team too, you know, down there in that dam where the sawmill was.
Sure, okay.
Well, they didn't have too good a backstop, so I'd go over there generally on Sunday and chase foul balls. They pay you $25 to chase foul balls on the grass.
Yeah.
So this summertime, and the baseball game be over, they go over, give me my quarter. So, well, all the players, they go up there. You didn't know where that Miss Glennon lived up there, there used to be a little tavern up there in the center of a Matson, you know,
Oh,
the house. Anyways, she had a little tavern there, not really a tavern, restaurant, and all the players go up there and get a beer or something. So I was pretty dry too, pretty warm, and I had my quarter in my hand. So I went up there, I followed them up. They went in there and sat down at the stools, and all got their beer. So I climbed up on one of them stools. She said, "What you want, Sonny?" I said, "I want a greaser dick." She looked at me. My God, she brought out that greaser dick. I give her a quarter, and I don't know if I got a dime back or something, but I had my good beer.
How old were you? And,
Oh, about 13, 14 years
oh,
old.
yeah.
well, just for the record, my grandmother would give me a beer when I was about that age. If I cut her grass, she'd pay me and give me a beer.
Yeah. I don't think they used to be that diligent on checking ages.
So now, let's get back to Matson and early days.
Yeah.
What?
They did not have a mail route, around the
Okay.
area. And Matson they had a little post office, and they got their mail. What happened, they did by horseback, ride down through the bottoms, past our place, and the river used to be back where it is now. They had to go down to the river on horseback with their mail, get in a boat, and go across the river. And there was a post office or whatever across the river. That's the way Matson got their mail in early days,
What are you doing?
before they had a mail carrier.
Huh. Over at South Point, is that where they were going to?
Must be past
There was a
South
little
Point.
town over there called South
I
Point.
don't know, I don't know
Okay,
where it landed, but it was
Yeah.
across the river.
Wouldn't this be closer to St. Albans or something?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
huh.
Hmm.
Do you remember when Berg's Crossing, there was still a ferry at Berg's Crossing? Was that, okay.
I
Yeah.
can't remember, I can't ever remember.
I asked around and I'm getting the
I don't
opinion that
remember.
there was no ferry
I
there.
don't think there was ever a ferry there.
Oh,
No.
Ferry to Washington.
yeah, okay.
I mean, I think I may have told you that, but everyone says no, there was not.
Why did they call it Berg's Crossing then?
The railroad, crossing the railroad,
Oh,
I think is the idea.
See, that river changed so much
yeah,
from Augusta on past Defiance. You know, Augusta used to be a main shipping point there.
yeah,
Right.
The river was right at the bluff of Augusta,
yeah,
where the ball diamond is in Augusta. That was
That
river.
was the river, right.
yeah.
Then it came on down all the way along there, and then it cut across there, where Sanders' place is, Hackman Road, and across the river toward the Labadee, where the stacks are. And that Berg's, that used to be a big bottom there
Yeah.
above the school. And that used to be a big bottom, and that big bottom all caved out, and the river shifted over from the Labadee side over to the Berg side,
Yeah,
and you're by the school. So then it started going back around, away from the north side. And remember where the river is now, and then at one time, that river came fairly close to Matson. Back here where our home place is, the river came up that far.
Hmm.
But the river, I can't remember it that far, but then it went back, shifted back over to the Labadee side, and it was slough back there, you know, and they always call that the bottom ground or the bar ground. But now it's ruined again since that big flood in '92 when it broke over at Willie Winston's, and it piled 5, 6, 8 foot of sand on that ground. It ruined it, an old bar. So the government finally bought that ground for wetland or whatever.
huh,
You know, Arthur Berg told me that my schoolhouse, which was just below the dam of Augusta Shores, there was an old schoolhouse there. And he said it used to be, he said that schoolhouse used to be out way further where the river is. He said, but they were experiencing occasional floods, so they had the foresight to move it in towards where it was when I had it.
Do you know where Arthur Berg lived? That
Yeah.
house used to be in the bottom.
No, I did not know that.
oh, really?
Or maybe he told me, I forgot to. Well, he thought the schoolhouse was built, he said it was probably Civil War,
Could be.
going back that far,
Could be, I don't know.
yeah. Well,
I want to ask about the quarry that's just east of downtown Augusta. If you head east on the railroad track, there's a quarry right there as you leave old downtown Augusta. Do you remember when that quarry was being used?
South Lane 1, South Lane 1, Largo Green Lane 2, Laura Lane 2.
And I've always assumed that all the foundation stones in town came from that quarry, just because it's the closest one. But,
Could be, I don't know.
okay.
Tell you a little more about Klondike, what I know when
okay,
I was a kid. they start mining sand in that Klondike quarry, or Klondike. They used to tunnel. Back there, they took that top rock off and they started tunneling. Well, then they found out that letting the top rock on, it was cheaper to tunnel than to take that top rock off.
Laura, this is calling line 1. Laura,
But
line 1.
I'd say about 1935, they start taking the top rock off when they got dumpsters.
Julie Schrader, line 2. Julie Schrader, line 2.
When they start taking that top rock off, drilling down, there's about 30 foot of hard rock, limestone rock,
Oh.
on top. They start drilling that down, blasting it, and then they hit a back or shovel, pick that rock up, put it in dumpsters, and they haul it over and dump it over the edge of the quarry or the bluff.
Oh.
And then they start drilling down through the sand and blasting it, and blasting the sand off and hauling that over to the quarry. To the crusher. They had a big 100 horsepower crusher there and crush that rock, and they get it up to fine sand, and they'd probably take it over to the edge of the bluff there and dry it and load it in boxcars. They'd ship as much as 15, 20 carloads of sand out there a day.
Was that being shipped over to East St. Louis for the glass making?
Somewhere were.
Yeah. Because East St. Louis at one time had a big glass making plant.
It could be, I don't know.
Yeah. Huh.
Did you ever go in any of those tunnels?
No. I'm afraid you may keep me.
Yeah. Well, did you have, well, you mentioned one little job you had, finding baseballs. Did you have other ways of making money when you were young?
No, I don't think so.
And then how about, let's say, when you're a little bit older then, let's say you're 20 or something, are you working anywhere? Are you working on the farm or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
When did you go to the military?
I went to Oklahoma a couple of years after I was out of high school. Worked for my uncle.
Oh.
What year did you go into the Army?
41,
50.
51. I missed World War II. I was just in that age. I was
Right.
young, but I missed that. But the Korean War caught me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
How long did you serve?
My limit, 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what did you do for fun then when you weren't farming though? Did you have any toys or games or anything that you did with your young friends?
Being a nice boy. Believe that or not.
I beg your pardon?
I believe that or not.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, I believe that.
You still have a little mischievous smirk there, so we know.
Well, when did you end up moving to Augusta?
55, I believe.
Did you build your house?
Yes, I did. Didn't I?
That one in the part of the one that's in Shirley.
Uh,
You guys lived in St. Charles for a little bit after you got
I
married.
lived in St. Charles about a year after I got married.
Oh,
Yeah.
Was your wife from Augusta as well?
But my wife found out soon that on weekends, there was no place for me, St. Charles.
Oh.
Yeah. Too many temptations in St. Charles?
Huh?
Too many temptations, you mean? Too many taverns, or
No?
no?
Too many
Just
people
one.
and too many houses?
Huh?
Too many people and too many houses?
You got that about right.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you didn't like all the people.
Alright.
Yeah. I can understand that.
You wanna take a break, or you wanna keep
No,
going?
alright.
Alright, let's keep doing this then.
What about, I'm looking through some of these pictures, some of the threshing and that, what was life on the farm like when you were,
Oh, yeah,
when
let's
you
talk
were a
about
boy? And some of the things, and I heard that one story about, what was it, Grandpa was doing something, he had to get off the tractor. It was kind of ingenious, cause he was trying to, can't remember what you said now, was he plowing or something?
Well, I think you're getting back to, I think it was one of the first days my dad had a old 1020 International tractor, and plowing, it was something new, fooling with a tractor. And I think he went down there and furrowed. Next thing, dang bumblebees were flying around his head. So he outrun him, got away from him. So the next round he come around, and that tractor had 4 wheels, and one wheel followed the furrow. When he got up about from here, the kids from a bumblebee nest, he got off that tractor and just let it go on his own, and he walked on around to let the bumblebees fly, so he wouldn't get stung. Then the tractor get on the other side there, he went over and climbed back on it,
Smart.
Yeah. So what were the main crops that you grew in Augusta?
Wheat and corn,
Okay.
wheat mainly, I believe. Couldn't get nothing for it.
No. And did you sell them right in town to the?
Well, wheat was generally shipped, they had an elevator, remember that elevator? Used to sit in the mats in there?
No, I sure don't.
You don't? It had an elevator?
There was an old wooden.
No, it had an elevator, a couple story high,
Yeah.
with
in
all that
Madison.
grain there, and they had
You
a
don't know.
scale, and you weighed the grain there and dumped it, shuffled it in a bin, and they had a auger, at when they want to ship it or something, they haul it up there and dump it in different bins, or else dump it over, comes out and run in a rail car, shipped it to St. Louis.
So how did you get it from your farm to Madison?
Wagon, box wagon.
Okay. So were you using horses in the early years?
Horses?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Did y'all raise sheep on your farm too?
No.
With Mom, you did.
Later on you did.
He wants to forget that probably.
Okay, we'll just blot that out.
When did you guys first get sheep and hogs and you and Mom?
Weren't you around?
Well, before me, apparently.
I can't believe it.
I was born in '63. You had them, I think, already then.
So how many hogs would you raise when you were?
Oh, half a dozen, 50.
Okay. And you were feeding them grain that you grew, corn that you grew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and you used to get feed up at Chubb's.
Huh?
When the mill was there, Chubb, Beatty.
Yeah.
Those hogs that usually had grain fed
Mm.
pellets.
Remember when Chubb Beatty had a mill?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
It used to be Elmer Litzkemeyer. When I came to Augusta first, it was Litzkemeyer. He had ground the feed and hauled it out to your bins.
So they bought local grain and mixed it there and then sold it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or else guys brought their grain there and had it ground.
Oh, okay.
Well, what can you tell us about living in a floodplain?
Rough.
Rough. I briefly looked in this book that.
And the floods got worse and worse. No, it got big in 1992 floods. It got pretty bad.
Yeah.
Here, I just found something my mom had written, who's talking about him being born, but it said, living in the river bottoms, this was a precursor of things to come. Water in the form of floods influenced much of his life. He was in one way or another involved in the floods of 1935, 42, 43, 44, 45, 47, 51, 73, 86, 93, 94, and 95.
It's enough to drive a person out of the floodplain.
And my grandfather died, what year was that, 1970?
Grandfather Stelzer,
Your dad.
74, I believe.
Okay, and then my grandma did not pass away though, so she passed away in May of 93, so she missed the big flood in 93, but the house.
She was right before the big flood.
Right, she died in May of,
Yeah.
first week of May of 93. But yeah, that's what they went through, and can you imagine them coming back to, I mean, it wasn't always, you know, in the house, but I still remember, they're getting water in the basement quite a bit.
Yeah.
Fish in the basement, mud in the basement, cleaning up
Snakes.
after all that. Snakes.
Well, since we're talking about the
I
big
tell you
flood,
why they stayed in the bottom. There was nothing in the hills for sale. Nobody wanted to sell, so there was no place to go.
Yeah.
There was no place up in the hills to buy a house until you went to get out of the country.
Huh.
okay.
So
Well, since Glennon just mentioned the big flood in '93, that's, of course, that's when that archaeological business came about. They found a village there. You want to tell us about that?
well, we didn't know anything about this burial ground. It was out there in the open field over a slough, you know. Well, there was no water in the slough, but I mean, there was a slough there where possibly could have been water there at one time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the flower furrow went up that hill, and I was down there after the flood in '92. I was just curious, looking around, and here in that furrow, I saw looked like a skeleton. So I inquired a little bit more. So it was a skeleton of a body, you know. So I knew Reed had back then, and we called him about it and told him, and he and his wife come down here, and oh yeah. So they got all, well, they wanted to take a shovel and bury it, you know, so nobody could see it. So that's what they did, took a shovel and buried it until they had this archaeologist from St. Louis come out there, Hall, I believe his name is Hall, came out there and they checked it out, and it was a human being. So they got all curious about that then.
Was that down by Matson, or was that down in Augusta by where the ball field is?
It was in Augusta, Matson, down there where we lived.
It was in Matson.
back behind that barn that's still
Oh, okay.
standing there, almost kind of straight back to the east of that a little
In the
bit.
bottom there.
That's what this picture
What a
looks
field.
like here in your
Mhm.
book that you have it. So there's the barn.
Yeah.
So that's when they got all enthused about checking that whole area out here, you know.
Mhm.
Hall, H-A-L, whatever his name is, between him and Reed did. So they worked there all summer.
Did you all find a lot of Indian heads when you were plowing and disking in that area?
No, not really, but after the flood, there was different things appeared.
Oh, yeah, we found like a bunch of those little bird points, found a nice ceremonial axe, that other spade, bunch of teeth, there's a
Yeah.
bunch of teeth laying all
I
over
got
the
a
place.
big
Pottery,
stone or shovel
that
at
spade.
home, a spade, whatever it was.
It's very interesting.
You said you'd found a part of the peace pipe back long ago.
Well, that was, I found that at home, back there at the house, in a little sand peace pipe, you know,
Really?
with a little handle on it.
Huh.
It was about 2,000 feet away from that area. So different things appeared, you know, down here.
Yeah. Well, you know, Van Reedhead gave a little talk then later at the museum after the excavation and all that. And he said that village would have been paying tribute to Cahokia Mounds. They would have been a satellite of that community. And they would have paid some sort of tax, whether, I don't know, it was crops or whatever, but you had to, somehow, that's what he said in this lecture, that they would have paid some form of tax to Cahokia.
To Cahokia?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they said that was the Mississippian Indians that inhabited that area, and up until that time, they did not realize the Mississippian Indians had gone any further than St. Louis. So they said it was a big find at that time, and they estimated that woman, which it just amazes me that they can figure that out just by looking at these bones and, you know, doing some testing, but at about 2,000 years old. And they could say, you know,
No,
I
no
mean,
kidding.
and I, that's why I wanna get this book again, because it actually gave, you know, what they estimated her age to be, how many children she had, what her diet was. It's like, how do you figure all that out? But just by looking at these bones. But she was pretty much intact. What was her, one of her arms, part of it was missing where the plow had gotten a hold of it, and she had like a little chunk out of her skull. But otherwise, she was fully intact.
So I guess they did radiocarbon dating on the bones to get,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Could be.
But then they had a lady, and it was kinda interesting, cause, what was she, a Cherokee Indian? She was like a leader of their group, and they had to have someone there who was in, you know, that had some kind of leadership, when they unearthed this lady, and they had the priest from the Catholic Church came down with his incense, and this lady from Illinois was over there. I think she was Cherokee. She was a Cherokee leader, and it was funny because we had run into her when we were down in Oklahoma on a family reunion, and they had a powwow down there in the town that our family reunion is, and we met her down there. And here, when we had this, you know, this thing done to unearth this Indian woman, here comes this lady again. What was her name? Evelyn or something like that? It was Evelyn. And here she comes. She's the one that showed up, and that was pretty interesting.
Had their incense, and they start this incense and get it burning, and had their big feathers, and they chase the devil away.
yeah.
Yeah. You and Bob Strukoff.
Yeah,
They had to do a lot of chasing with you two. Yeah.
it was a chase the devil away.
They had to have her back in the ground, I think they said within 2 years, because there was a ruling at that time that,
I think didn't they take them up to
New Haven.
Herman,
I have no idea.
somewhere where they bury that stuff?
I think so. They said that they had to have her back. They couldn't have her on display more than 2 years to do this testing or whatever. They had to, you know, that was the agreement they had with the Indian Nation, that they would have them back in the ground within 2 years, so. And then they found that dog too, that,
Well,
trash bin.
After that second flood, it washed that out a little deeper, and there was a spot from here to the end of that building here where every oh, 15 feet with a little mound of rocks. Rocks big as a fish, you know. And on this one stone laying there was a skeleton of a dog.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was another big flood, what, roughly 95?
Oh, 92, 93, and 95.
Yeah, so then it kept washing stuff out of there.
Well,
Yeah, they were gonna do some more digging, and by that time that last one came through there, it pretty much took everything out. I mean,
Oh.
just wiped it out.
So there was still somebody living in this house when the flood.
She had passed away in May. The flood came in July.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, up
Because
until
there's
that
still
time.
furniture in there.
Yeah, we had moved that right when it was getting ready to flood, and we moved it all upstairs. But there were some things that, piano and dining room table, they're like, oh, it's never gotten in here, it won't get above the cabinets, and like, I was like, we got the manpower, let's move it up. So we moved all the stuff out of the cabinets, and then the freezer outside, would you put all the newspapers in the freezer or on top of the freezer?
Yeah.
That freezer, when the water came up, it was empty, so it dumped over. So
Ow.
all these newspapers go floating out, so then
Flooded.
they were laying, I guess, mainly in that room, so then they thought, oh, the current will take them away, so they threw them out, they threw out the back door, and the current took it away, all right, took it to the front door, or vice versa. So it didn't leave, it all just went around the
Around.
side of the house and
Yeah.
deposited on the other side of the house. They still had all that mess to clean up.
Back to some lighter moments. What kind of favorite memories do you have, like when you're living in Augusta? When you first came there as say you and your wife as a young couple, did they have get-togethers when they did the barn dances or anything like that? No.
we weren't no
What'd you do
dancers.
for entertainment?
Work.
Or, yeah.
We weren't no 40 people.
Yeah. Where all did you work in Augusta? Other than, I know you had your own farm, but did you work out for other people?
Well, then, I was already working, I worked 22 years for St. Louis County Water,
Ah, okay.
so that kept me occupied, plus having a few animals, which I had to take care of.
Mhm. Now, were there a few other people working for the St. Louis County Water
Yes, there
from
was.
our area?
Defiance area,
Yeah.
had a bunch of them.
Mm.
Now Defiance used to work there, they're all gone.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, that's Steve Fisher works for
Yeah.
St. Louis County.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. It's been there a long time.
Did you have a big garden back then? Did you
Yeah,
plant
pretty
your
good
own
size.
food and stuff?
My wife was a gardener.
We
And,
had two gardens, you used to have one on the east side and one up there by where you had the hog pen on that. Anyway, I always said they had enough garden, stuff in their garden, they could fed an army. They had 3 deep freezers full of food.
Yeah. So you probably didn't have to go to the grocery store very often. You probably,
oh, I was, still went there, you know.
yeah.
Well, you had a cow you milked. Remember your old
No.
milk cow?
It wasn't just too long. We milked it a year or two. But,
Well, where did you get groceries at then, when you did buy groceries?
well, maybe I should say that was before I was married. St. Charles.
Oh. All right.
He wasn't in Bridger at Washington yet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then after we got married, it went to Washington.
So you didn't use any of those stores there in Augusta once you got married and moved to the farm there?
Well, to a degree, but not too much.
No.
Yeah.
So you really only needed to get like sugar and coffee, that sort of stuff, right? Did you take your grain and have it ground, and did you bring that back and use it for your own flour?
Well, no.
No.
Only if we brought corn up there for the hogs and cow, you know, but not for us.
You told me an interesting story once about a cattle drive, like the cattle were up on the ridge, roughly where I live up that way.
Well, it was back there, remember where the big lake is now? On highway, Slisburg Road. You go back there and go like Kenosha Valley or K Valley.
Oh, yeah,
You know where the big lake is now?
No,
Across the hill? You know where the big lake,
I mean,
They
I
built
guess
that
I
big-
do, I just can't.
the big,
Up there by me,
yeah.
yeah, up on,
Back
big
of her.
off of
Oh,
Duke
Whole
Road,
Camp's
yeah.
Big Lake?
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
But then, let's see, what was, getting back to I forgot what we.
Well, about a cattle drive, like
Oh,
sending them all down to the bottom, so.
heard my father-in-law, her grandpa, used to have cattle back there, back over the hill there, they call that K Valley. And he had cattle there in wintertime, when it didn't, were going to have bad weather, he'd have to get them out of there. So he'd drive them from there at K Valley, and on that Slisburg Road, come up Slisburg Road, you know where Vernon Ditch lives?
Mm-hmm.
He'd cross there and go through that field to the right and cross back there, and he'd go back there, I don't know, half mile, and you hit that there,
Schindler Road.
Schindler Road.
Yeah.
Okay, he hit that Schindler Road, then he followed Schindler Road back down toward 94, and he come over, he have to go down past the church here, I guess, and go into the town, and go through town, and take them cows to the bottom. And he had a farm down there, and corn stalks and things, and he'd keep them down there.
Mhm.
So, he'd go all that ways, and what was it, Grandma? She'd go ahead with a cowbell or a bucket of feed or something,
Probably a bucket of cubes.
and had a, you know, and had a lead cow. She liked to follow that, you know, so them other cows follow that. Okay, you know,
And how many cows do you think this was, roughly speaking?
15 maybe,
Oh, not that many, okay.
I don't know.
It wasn't an earth-shaking event then, though.
He was using a horse to round them up though?
He didn't have a horse then,
Oh, okay.
but, have to go all that ways on foot.
It was a long day.
That is a long way.
Now, you mentioned horses, though. Grandpa Commercial, who lived in Augusta, they built that house across from the Legion. Right across from the Legion.
Oh,
That's where
yeah,
my
yeah.
mom,
Yeah.
she was actually born in, I think it's, they said it, is it the oldest house in Augusta? It's, kinda over there by Vic Brown's, or it's one of the older houses where Vic Brown lives. If you come back this way, like, you're gonna go to the post office, that
Yeah.
house that sits there on the corner, I don't know if it's, at one point in time, it was kind of pink colored, it's a brick house, but it's there on that corner, where Campmans live,
Yeah.
across the street on the end.
Yeah, Paul Mosier's place.
Okay, so anyway, that's where she was born, but
Ah,
they
yeah.
built
Oh, okay.
that house across from the Legion, let's see, she was born in what, 33, so they built that house maybe early 30s.
Who was born in 33?
Grandma,
Grandma
Your-
who?
your wife,
Oh, you're,
yeah.
his grandma, yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
she was
good.
born in March 7th, 33. When did they build that house that Grandpa and Grandma and she lived in? Across from Legion, when was that built?
Well, that was being built at that time.
When she was born?
It was born, being built at that time, yeah.
Okay, so
There
anyway,
used to be an
but
old house there,
Oh, was it?
and they tore it down, and they built what's there
the
now.
basement of that house though is still the original foundation, cause there's a wine barrel in there that you couldn't get through the doors. So it's still sitting in there when we left, and there's times I wish we would've gotten it, but it's a big old, I mean, it's a big old wine barrel, but you couldn't fit it through the door to get it out, so
Oh,
you would've
okay.
had to take it all apart. But they built that house around that wine
Around
barrel,
that
cause it was
room.
in the basement of the old house and it's still still sitting
That
down in
is
there.
interesting. And you lived in that house too, didn't you?
Mhm, we lived
So
in
when I
there,
first met you, that's where.
we got married in '85 and we lived there until '96.
Yeah.
But her father was in World War One, and that was, he would have been interesting to interview about that. Tell him about what did he do, cause he worked on these, he shoot horses for the army, and we got this picture of all these horses, cause they fought a lot on horses back then. And then they used him one time to intercept, I guess it was communications between the army. Somehow they broke into this line of this enemy talk, and they had my grandfather get on this line and direct them away from where the U.S. Army was at, because he could speak fluent German. So he was on this line saying, and he goes, all the American soldiers are here, and really they were here, and then they moved around that area so that they didn't, otherwise they probably would have,
Right.
annihilated them, but, so that was, I thought, interesting. He could probably elaborate a little bit more on some of the things with Grandpa, he was from there.
Well, at the same time that her grandpa and grandma, it was a Haverkamp that lived in that old house there on the corner across from the Legion, where the commercial house is now. Anyways, his son went to World War One, and so Grandpa Haverkamp thought that'd be good that he gonna buy a farm for his son. When he come back, he have a place to farm and live. So he bought that Hackman place, remember, down on Hackman Road, down there.
Just slide.
Almost to the railroad track.
Oh, okay.
It was Hackman place, and so that Hackman, had ground down there in the bottom too, and so
Is that the Brennicke's old place?
well, it's right pretty close to it.
Okay,
Before you get house before you get to Randy, please.
okay.
Anyways, this Hackman farm was for sale, I believe, and Mr. Haverkamp bought this place, the Haverkamp place, for his son when he come back out of service. Well, his son got killed over,
We died of influenza.
or he got influenza, or gas war or something.
Yeah, he's
Anyways,
influenza.
So he didn't come back. So he had that place there, well, he didn't want it no more. But in the meantime, the river used to be up there along the bluff, or Hackman place,
Yeah.
into Augusta. So, when he bought this place, when the river changed back and, filled up there, this ground out there in the bottom came available, it came back into use, and so there was this Hackman place and this next ground down there, and the river changed over across to the other side of the island, to the Franklin County side. Anyways, this land was open there and just growing up in willows. And Mr. Hackman, they call that accretion land back then. If the land came from the river leaves it,
Right.
and that land belonged to you up to the property owner, and they call that accretion land. So this here Hackman place had this land, accretion land next to it come available, so it belonged to Mr. Haverkamp, because he had bought the Hackman place.
Huh.
So anyways, then there was about 100 acres there Well, there was nothing but slough and willows, and couldn't be formed yet. So Mr. Haverkamp told, that's when my father-in-law and mother-in-law just got married, and Mr. Haverkamp told my father-in-law, if you want that ground down there, you can have that for $1 and affection.
Huh.
Huh?
Wow.
So he said, well, he took them up on that. Couldn't farm it yet, but every year the river come in there and built it up more, and now it's farmland.
Beautiful farm, yeah.
So, 100 acres down there in the bottom for
Yeah.
little or nothing. I don't know what year it was, 1970 or something like that. He got tired of the Johnson grass down there, and he decided to sell it. So he sold that ground to, well, Casper and then Raymar bought that. And so he took his money and went up to Centralia, Missouri, and bought 325 acres. You could buy land fairly cheap up there then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in fact, I went up there and bought a place. And, so we went up there then too and bought. That's when we still got our ground up there, Centralia, Missouri.
Right.
What do you remember about when the railroad was there in Augusta? When the railroad came through Augusta?
I don't know, it was, I don't know exactly, but it was 1870 or 60, I don't know. Some of them bridges around there got date on it,
Oh, right.
70 something, you know, the culvert bridges.
Did you ship your cream out on the rails that are?
Yes, we did for a
Yeah.
while. Went to Smithton Creek, Missouri, I believe.
You all want to take a break, or shall we wrap this up? I mean, I know
Yeah,
you
we
can
should
edit
wrap it
it.
up.
anything
I was
else
gonna
about it.
ask if we could have a second interview. Would it be possible?
We would have to be organized the
Some-
next time. We'd have
sometime
to
in the
really
future.
know, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
but we could do a
Yeah, we
second one.
can skip around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we could just try to figure out what we didn't cover,
Yeah, we don't wanna wear him out
Mhm.
either.
yeah, or what we wanted him to elaborate on.
I don't know what you really want to cover, I don't know.
We just want
Just-
whatever you have to say, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, anything you wanna
I-
add
I-
to
We
what
always
we've been
learn
talking
stuff
about?
from you, I always do.
I don't know much more to say really, but you see where I'm at. But,
Well, it sounds like you had a
Well-
very,
Huh?
a nice family, a very good life, you
Well-
experienced a lot of things.
See, none of us grew up in Augusta, so.
No, we're all imports. So
But we
it's-
live there now and we like to know about the past.
well, there isn't too many people that when I was young live there anymore, you know.
Tell you're struggling here, drink.
Most of them old people are gone, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
like the Clays and Schaff and all those people,
Yeah.
Tiemans, they're no more.
I knew a team in
All some new people,
Yeah.
so.
Well, the Knurschels and the Nodlers and the Stelzers, those used to all be big names in Augusta, and there's not many of them there anymore.
Yeah. No. No.
Find them in the cemetery, I guess.
This may even, I'm gonna ask you something else now because it might help segue to a future interview. Like, we're gonna do over Cedar Crest, we're gonna do Maynard and Ruth Heyman. Now, do you have connections to them in any way?
Well, I know,
Yeah.
I know where they live.
Did you ever have any socializing or working or anything in relation with them?
Well, not with them personally.
Or? Okay.
I know where they were born and raised.
Lynette and your son, Lyndon, are, I think, the same age. They went to school together, but besides that, they were more Femio Sage.
Although Ruth says that she was a Sturkoff, she's Alloy's,
was she?
Alloy's
Yeah, that's
sister,
right.
right? I believe.
One thing I know, on that Heyman place, the home place, there was a killing error
Oh,
on that Heyman place. And, well, what happened, was, let's see, I don't know what her name was. But, anyways, there was some loggers, they used to do a lot of logging around here back in, way back in the 1800s. Anyways, these loggers knew this girl, I don't know if that was my, Stelzer woman,
I think so. Shirley Totebush's
Yeah, Shirley's,
mother.
anyways, the loggers knew this girl was there by herself in his house. And anyways, they waited until it was all clear around there beside her. So they snuck over to the house and wrestled her down the floor and tied her up and raped her.
mm.
So that's, and that Al Stelzer, Shirley's father, was the father of this. That happened in this Heyman house.
Okay.
And the Heymans
Mm.
live there. Maynard Heyman, his two sisters lived there in his house. But,
Now, is this something that we would have to edit out of what you, everything you've told us today? I mean, or is that okay, you think, to talk about that?
you can talk about it as far as that goes.
Okay. Because you're talking about other people's relatives now, or, you know, like,
Well, there was, did you know Shirley Stelzer? Glenn Taylor's wife?
yeah, she's living in Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was the daughter of the man that
The baby that was born.
was born from that.
Yeah.
She was the person born from that.
He was, her dad
Oh, I'm
was the
sorry,
baby
her dad,
that
her
came
dad,
from this
okay.
logger who raped this woman.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
And did they,
Gotcha.
so did somebody shoot the guy that had raped her, or
Well, I think they,
beat him up, or?
how should I say it, honey? I guess they
He just
arrested him or whatever.
Disappeared?
Okay.
Well, now, too, what do you know about the hobos? Mom used to talk about the hobos that used to get off the railroad and they would come
Well,
up
back
and
there
they'd
in the
work and.
30s, remember, we had depression.
Yeah.
Right.
Had depression, and there was a lot of people, especially men, out of work.
Mm.
And there was no paychecks like they got nowadays for these people out of work.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to jump on a train or something, go somewhere else in the country, California, Texas, or wherever, and try to find work. So, and it wasn't much work either. So sometimes the hobos come down there for a farm place and ask for a cup of coffee or a sandwich or something. And so that's why they survived. And those hobos, they generally stay along the bluff at night and then go into a little shelter, cave or something, and until the next train, hop on it and go on further.
Yeah.
You came across, wasn't that a train derailment that one time? What did you come up with that time down there?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, but
All that chocolate.
back there across from our farm, by the Dietrich, the next crossing down there, used to be a rail where you go from one main railroad to a side rail.
Mm.
And had one rail car, going south, and one rail car, I guess they had a bad wheel or something, or hit that derailment just wrong, and it tried to go down that other rail, side track. Well, it couldn't go down there. It wrecked, and about 15 cars wrecked there and piled up. And one rail car, that was during the war, one rail car had chocolate syrup and Hershey bars and Mr. Goodrich. So it was scattered all over, and we filled our bellies full of chocolate.
Yeah, might as well.
Hey, didn't go to waste.
While you're on that topic, I don't know if any of you have ever been on the Katy Trail. When you get close to what they call Berg's Crossing, there's this thing that they call the Rock Barn, which is
Rock House, yeah.
the Rock House Barn or whatever. It was just the bluff was sort of carved out in this odd fashion, and I think you told me that used to go out way further.
It was further
the
than
roof of it.
They blasted
it off.
some of it off
Yeah.
because some of the rock was falling on the track.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason I heard it was called Rock Barn is because some farmers would actually park tractors and things in there.
Park a threshing machine there.
Yeah.
And it's still a considerable cave over your head.
I guess it is.
Yeah, it's a pretty good size.
I haven't been back there for some time.
Yeah.
Just above that, it wasn't too far, they had a train wreck there back in the 30s.
Oh.
And I think about 15 cars piled up there. And it was a number of we call them hobos, on that train at that time got killed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A lot of oil cars and whatever, and coming out of Texas, and they caught on fire, or had a big fire there.
Mm. It's rough.
I never heard that before.
Yeah, right behind that, rock house bluff there. Yeah, it was amazing. That was a pretty good quarry. Pretty good cave here, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's sizable. It still is. Paul, is there anything you want to ask it to stay in line with your thoughts of how to?
I don't think so. I mean, going back to the veteran piece, you mentioned you had a relative in World War I. Did you have any relatives that had fought in the Civil War? Any of your family?
No.
No. Because they came, what year did you say? 1870? 1870, but there were some that came in 1850 or something, right?
Yeah, I
So-
thought I heard 1850
Okay.
thrown out there. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything else you think we need to hear today? I know we're wearing you down. We won't give you too much longer, but
You're wearing us down.
you're very interesting. The things that you can recall and the dates, it's so impressive.
Just know what I hear.
Pardon?
Know what I hear.
Well, was there any, like, the cholera and stuff? I know some of those the cemetery that's up there off of Matson Hill Road or Duke Road up there, that one that's the family with Wessler Cemetery. So was cholera very prevalent in the area
Well,
during that time, or is it just that particular
I don't
community
know
that
how-
get bad, or?
I don't know how long that area, but they had cholera back in let's say 1850s, 60s, 70s, in that area.
Oh.
And that cemetery back there, where,
Right by the big lake, there's a cemetery on that
Oh, he's
hillside.
mentioned that before.
Yeah,
too, but
right
I
up
still
there,
haven't seen
up
it.
the
Where's
hill
that?
from
Mine
Parsons.
You might say, just past my house the way it
what's
is.
the name?
Oh,
Parsons, George Parsons.
George, yeah.
Yeah.
Person, yeah.
Parsons,
Yeah.
yeah, lives
You know
down there.
George Person?
I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Where he lives, going further up that creek, where the dam is now,
Yeah.
and go up on the hillside there, just maybe a couple hundred feet off the creek.
Okay, it would be on the Duke Road side of the hill, or are you talking the other side of the lake, or
it's on the Duke
more
Duke
closer
Road.
to Duke
Yeah,
Road?
when you go down to George's house, there's a creek that goes across there, you cross
Yeah.
that creek and drive along that wood line there, and then it's up on the left on that hillside.
Okay, I'll do that sometime.
Yeah, you know, Matson Hill Road, you go down George's house, and then you go up that, from his house, going back up the field along that creek, oh, less than a half mile,
Yeah.
quarter mile.
Okay. I know I've been close to it then, I just
I've
didn't
never seen
see
it.
it.
It's,
You wouldn't see it unless you
No.
knew where it's at, it's down, it's in the woods, cause we need to go
Well,
down there and do some
they
trimming on
cleared
it.
that out now, but
Yeah.
it's you know, over, was it, see, how should I say it? Matson Hill Road up there
Mm-hmm.
by George's. And
Right.
you come down, when you look down the hill, in that field there, that's about where it is.
Okay, I'll have to look harder. I've been on that dirt road that cuts off of Duke Road and it goes all the way down to Persons. You're walking in the
Well,
woods mostly,
You have to go down that
so I've
road,
been close to that
and you
cemetery.
go down to George's, then you go up the creek there, oh,
Mm.
1,000 feet.
That's where I
or so.
stopped at the creek, I didn't know.
How
if
many
it's-
actual, burials are in there? Maybe 8, 10?
Oh, I believe more than that. Kids, a lot of kids.
Yeah, it was,
Mm.
and they would
Mhm.
die, like when, like a mother died, and then like a day later, the child would die, and another day later, there was one, I think it was like they died within
Right.
just a couple days of each other from
Mhm.
this epidemic. But that was was that grandpa's, the
My
Westlers?
my great grandpa, Paul and grandma was buried there, I'm sure.
And that
Yeah.
was your dad's, on your dad's side,
Yeah.
yeah, Westlers. She was a
Westlers.
Westler.
And I believe you told me there's some Toda Bush names there too in that cemetery, or am I getting mixed up?
I can't remember that.
Not there, okay.
No Tony Bush, no.
No, all right, I'm wrong.
Westlers and Stelzer.
So did they live right on that property, I take it? Did
Huh?
they live down there where Persons lives now, or where did they live then?
Well, the Westlers lived there, and that person lives.
That was their house?
Mm.
So that house has been around a long time.
Yeah, really. Well, do you have anything you wanna just tell us about how you feel about the Augusta Matson area? I mean, if you were to tell somebody that was just moving in, is there anything you'd wanna tell
Well-
them about it?
That's where I was born and raised, and I couldn't get away.
Yeah, okay. That sums it up. Did you wanna go away?
Not really.
Not really. All right, well, let's just wrap it up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate you.
Well, I know you didn't learn everything you want to learn, but I tried to tell you a few things.
You shared a lot
You
with
covered a
us.
lot,
Yeah.
really.
But